Hello everyone, good morning. First of all, a warm welcome to MuleSoft training by UnoGeeks. In this video, we'll see how to build a Hello World Mule application. In the previous video, we have seen how to how to download and set up Anypoint Studio, which is a Java Eclipse-based IDE that we will use to build this application. In case you haven't watched that video, please watch that video first, set up Anypoint Studio, and then come back to this. Okay, so we're going to build a simple REST API, which will take in name as an input, and it will prefix hello to that name, and it will send that entire string back as a response to the user. Okay, so yes, we're going to build a simple Hello World Mule application, which will take in a name as a query parameter. And if you pass in UnoGeeks, it will prefix hello to the name. It will become hello UnoGeeks, and it will send in this response string back to the calling client. Okay, let's see how to build that in Anypoint Studio. So I've shown how to set this up in the previous video, how to download and set up Anypoint Studio. So create a new Mule project and give it a name. You give it a name, and you can probably call it as Hello World Mule application, Hello World Mule app, and you can just click OK. The runtime that will be used is Mule Server 4.3, which will come pre-built with the Anypoint Studio. So you don't need to do anything to get this runtime server. And this runtime server that comes pre-built with Anypoint Studio will help you to launch and test your Mule applications that you're building here, that you're building in Anypoint Studio, even before you deploy them to a cloud hub. You can wait for the application to get created. Okay, you could see the Mule application created, and on the face of it, it looks like there are too many files that got created under this particular folder. Let me just give you a high-level overview about this. So you'll have a few source folders and 3 folders under main, and the main Mule application. So this is where your flows will sit. Flow is nothing but an integration flow that you build in MuleSoft. And by default, when you create a project, a flow will also get created with the same name, and the flows will have an extension of .xml. We'll talk more about this. And if you build any Java or any Java, and if you have any other resources used in a Mule application, they will sit in those respective folders. And when you want to do some unit testing on the application, or if you want to use munit to perform some complex test cases or run some complex test use cases, you can use these folders for that. And whenever you create a project, by default, you notice that there will be a few modules that get added to the project. Okay, you see that there are 3 folders called core, HTTP, and sockets. 3 folders or 3 modules rather are added to the project by default, and Anypoint Studio will do that. And those 3 modules need some configuration files. So those 3 modules will be added to your application as well as the dependencies. So you see the HTTP folder, and you see the sockets, and you will also see the Mule server also getting added as a dependencies or as a subfolders within the project. Okay. And to start off with the application build, all you need to do is you will have a modules available here, and you will have some of them marked as favorites. You can mark them, mark any of the components that you wish to reuse quite frequently as favorites. And you have a few core components that you can use. And as we progress along the course, we will make use of most of these components that you see. And you have HTTP and the socket. So you go to HTTP, and I want to build a Mule application which will receive a request from the client, and they need to receive a request. And to receive a request in a Mule application, you need to have a listener configured. So use HTTP module, and under HTTP, you see a listener option available there. So drop in a listener onto the Mule flow. And this listener will help us to respond back to the request that we receive. Okay. And whenever you add a component, you need to set up the required connections. So I've dragged and dropped the listener component, HTTP listener, and you see that it is prompting me to add in the connector configuration, required connector configuration. So you can quickly add the connector configuration on the fly. You can click on the plus icon here, and Anypoint Studio will by default generate uh, a default listener configuration, which should be okay in 99% of the cases. So just go with the default options, and all it says is this HTTP listener is getting configured now to receive requests on port 8081. Okay, so you will receive them on the local host, and you will receive them on port 8081. Okay, so you can test the connection. Anypoint Studio is testing the listener configuration now. You should see a green icon coming up soon. Okay, you see that the connection is successful. Click OK, and you will see the connection getting defaulted here. And you can save the flow. You see that the changes are not saved. Press Ctrl S to save the change, and you see that the error is gone now. So you click on the listener. You still see an error because you no longer see error with the connector configuration, but you have error with the path. So this path, it determines on what path do you want to keep listening on a port 8081. So I'll just say /hello here, and you have to remember this path. And when you try to invoke this application, you have to send in request on this particular path. So when you want to test the application after you activate it, you will have to invoke, or you'll have to test the API this way. You'll have to pass it localhost :8081, because that is the port that we used in the connector configuration. Localhost, because we are running the Mule application on the Anypoint Studio. And you have to pass /hello, because that is the path that we are setting up here. Okay. And after that, you can click on the listener configuration, and you can go to Advanced tab, and you can select what methods you want to allow on this endpoint. So remember, the REST APIs work with HTTP endpoints or HTTP methods, and you can allow get, a post, or any other method. Okay, so I want to allow only get method on this endpoint. So select get, go back to listener, and you can leave the listener name as is, or it is always better to use a meaningful name. So you can change it to get space /hello. So you have to, or as a good design practice, we start the display name with the HTTP method, and we use a path in the display name. So that indicates that this is a listener for a get method on a /hello path. Okay, and what do we want to do? We are going to receive a name as a query parameter, or we want to receive name as a query parameter, right? And to that name, we want to prefix hello, and we need to do it in here in the process window and in the processor, and we need to send that back as a response. So to do that, we have to go back, and we will use an option called set payload. So click on core, select core option, and if you scroll down, you see an option called set payload. So set payload component can be used, or processor can be used to set a value to the payload. Payload is nothing but what goes back to the client. Okay, so use the set payload component, and you can set up a value here. And this value, you can write an expression, you can write a data weave expression, or you can hard code a value here. And we'll write a data weave expression and we will use this as a message. We'll say hello, and we will concatenate the name that we are going to receive as an input parameter. So we're going to receive a name as a query parameter, and to receive or to reference the query parameters within the expression data weave expression. So the way you do it is you select attributes. So you can take off the expression. You can say hash. You can type in attributes. Or you can just copy paste this message as is, and you can paste it in here. Okay, so if you want, you can start if you start typing in the attributes, it will show you the options available. It's not popping up at the moment, but you can paste in this message. And what are we doing in here? We are concatenating two strings, and the first we are basically prefixing hello to the query parameter that we are receiving as input to this API, and we will pass that query parameter with a name or as a name. And sometimes user might not pass the query parameter name, and in which case I want to use a default value of user. So if user tries to invoke this API without passing a name query parameter, I will send back a response as hello user. If they pass in name, yes, hello plus name. If they don't pass in name, it will be hello plus. If the name is null, use a default value called user. You can use any name here, or you can use any value here that you want. So this is how you set the payload to prefix hello to the query parameter name and send it back as a response. Okay, and we can run the project and test it now. So do a right click, and to run the application, right click and select a run project hello world Mule application. And you will notice that, let me maximize this. You will notice that this Mule application gets deployed to the Mule server that comes pre-built with the Anypoint Studio. So you notice that it is launching a JVM, and inside which it is going to run this Mule application. Okay, after a while you should see a message stating that a Mule application is up and running. Okay, it is initializing the application at the moment. These Mule applications internally will be deployed as a Spring applications, Spring Java based applications, and they will be running on a Java virtual machine. And you could see that the application is deployed now. Status is deployed. Okay, let's go back. You could see that the application is deployed now, and let's try to send in a request and see what happens. And to send in a request, I open a Postman tool. You can download and install the Postman software. It's basically a tool that you can use to test the REST APIs, and it's available for free. Just download and install it, and you can kick off. You can send in a request to this particular REST API that you have built. And what is the path that I need to use? I need to use a local host. I need to use this specific path. Local host, because it is running on our machine. Port 8081, because that's a port that we used in the connection. So if you look at the connections, global elements, look at the connection that you have created. We have used port as 8081. So that's the same port that I'm using here. And /hello, this is the path that you have used in the message flow. So if you look at the listener configuration, we've used path as /hello. So we want to send in a request on /hello for which you have a listener running at the moment. Okay, for which you have a Mule application running. So this Mule application is currently listening on port 8081 on path /hello. And any request that you send in from tools like Postman or any other tool, this Mule application will respond, will listen the request, and it will prefix hello and send the response back. Okay, let's go ahead and test it out. And if you want to pass in a query parameters, this is how you pass it. So you put a question mark and you give a name to it. I want to call my query parameter as name because that is what I have used in the set payload. I'm assuming that I will receive a query parameter with name, okay, as name rather. So I'll put a question mark name equal to, and I can give whatever value I want to pass as input, whatever string you want to pass in. So I'll just pass in geeks, and you can see the value getting populated here, and you can send in a request. And what do you see? You got back a response, and the response is hello geeks, and you see a status of 200 okay. So which means this request that we have sent in has been answered by this particular Hello World Mule application that you have built in Anypoint Studio. So remember, this Mule application has been deployed to the Mule server that comes pre-built with Anypoint Studio, and the application is in running state at the moment. Because of which, when we have sent in a request on 8081/hello path with a query parameter, this application responded to that request. And if I, just to show you, I will take out the query parameter. Okay, so or else I'll just change this from name to name1, or I can take it off completely. You can do either of them, and you can send in a request. So now we are sending in a request without the query parameter. And if we don't pass in any query parameter called name, so if we don't receive query parameter called name, we are defaulting the value to user. So user gets concatenated to hello, and that was sent back to this particular API request. Okay, and we are receiving response here from this Hello World Mule application because it is running in our machine now on the Mule server. So let me just show you one more thing. So let's just stop this project, stop the application. Let's go to console to see if the application is stopped or not. Let's do a right click. And if you see a run option again, that means yes, the application is stopped. And let's send in a request again now. You will notice that we don't have any application listening on port 8081 on path /hello because there's only one Mule application which is in stop state at the moment. Okay, so this is just a confirmation that yes, this Mule application is serving the requests that are coming in from Postman. Okay, so this is how you build a Hello World Mule application. Yeah, we started off with a simpler use case, and as we progress along, we will cover a complex use cases as well. And in the next video, I'll show you how to debug a Mule application. Should something go wrong in the Mule application that you're building, and if you want to see where it is going wrong, or if you want to figure out and debug the application, I'll show you how to exactly do it in the next video. Please join me there. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. In case you are interested in MuleSoft training offered by Geeks, please call us on this number or send a WhatsApp message. You can also mail us on info@geeks.com. Thank you.